Hey, I'm back. So, to talk about how you can use ramps and artifacts to help this sort of thing, and how having a constricted battle space will screw it up, and how you can deal with that. So, remember, there's only two valid ways to fight with Marine tank. You can put the tanks in front and siege up and keep the infantry behind it on hold position, or you can stim and A move with the infantry. And typically, if you're going for double infantry ups and you're going for mass marine, you're gonna want to stim an A move until his tank count gets to be 5 or higher. But a lot of times on most maps, there's a constricted space. You can't like get the full arc that you really want. So if he's got a bunch of dudes sieged on one side of an obstacle down here, um, this army, your army should theoretically be able to kill his army. Actually, with this many tanks, probably not. Let's kill the tank count a little bit. All right. So you have the stronger army. He has. You both have a defensive position. He can't attack into you because you have the stronger army, but can you attack into him the same way that you did in the open field? And the answer, hopefully, I haven't tested this, should be no, right? You stim an A move, he stims an A moves. You siege up and kill off his tanks, and he kills all your crap. And the reason that this isn't going as well as it did in the open field is because these tanks are suddenly doing huge splash damage, right? So now it becomes he who stands in the choke versus pre-sieged tanks is the loser. So what do you want to do in situations like this where there's a choke that you can't get an auto arc in? there's two choices. One, which is what I highly recommend, is just don't attack him. You just siege up your tanks at the limit of his tank range and hold position and wait for him to go away. And if he sets up a contain, then you go around it with, leave some tanks and some marines up here and then go do a drop down there and go to his base with the drop and force him to break his siege position or whatever. But if you don't like the don't option, then there is a way to attack into a siege position like this with these marines. Let's see if I can explain it properly. Okay. What you want to know is that when you move stuff in StarCraft, it bunches up, right? So if you move these guys, they bunch up, and that's terrible. A good spread is going to allow only about 5 marines to be hit per tank splash, right? So if you just have a normal pre-spread like this, then a tank splash here is going to hit 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dudes, right? So because of the constricted space, especially on a ramp, like if we watch how many dudes are being hit on the ramp, that shot hit 5, that hit 5, that hit, I don't know, 5, probably 5. So the big problem when there's a small tank count, like 2 in this case, isn't so much the tanks themselves as the number of marines you have that aren't shooting. So those first 2 tank blasts killed tons of dudes. Those tank blasts killed tons of dudes. They're doing lots of damage. But if you see, they're not doing insane amounts of damage like they actually did in the real game that you played. Where tanks really do tons of damage is when people try, instead of trying to just A move in, when they try to move command in. See, when you move command, your troops stand in a big clump and the tanks get to do even more damage. So we want to avoid move commanding because it makes tanks awesome. But we also want to avoid getting stuck in this limited surface area choke, right? Because by surface area, I mean number of dudes who can get within 5 range and have their guns firing. So again, right here, this is the surface area. How do you pause it? There's no pause button. Maybe pause. Okay. I only get 3 pauses. Anyway, you can see this guy's shooting, this guy's shooting, this guy's shooting, this guy's shooting. So only this front line is shooting. That's the surface area. So more than 2/3 of my troops, before so many of them died, are just not shooting at all. They're pointless. by move commanding, we avoid that problem. All of our guys get to shoot, but then we run into the, oh my god, all my guys just clumped up problem. So there's these two conflicting problems. You need to move command so that your guys can fire, but every time you move command, you reduce your DPS and you clump up. So how do we get around this? Move command less than all of your troops. Less than all. Okay? So we got these dudes. We got these dudes. What do we do? First, Stimine move like we did before. And you take small groups of dudes and you just move them to various places. But you want to get like 3 guys per move command, right? Especially towards the end of the battle, you can grab just one dude, move him around, and kicks people's butts. And I don't know, this is something that you can't do for the first time in the middle of a game. This is something you need to try on this unit test map and just get used to how it's going to make your troops behave. Because one of the temptations is to say, oh, okay, I want to stim an A move and then grab small groups and move them around. And then say, this is a small group, but that's not. That's like 35 million guys. And this is a bunch of guys, and this is, you know. So get used to how many, grabbing exactly 5 or 3 or whatever dudes. I'm not even very good at it. But you can see how by increasing the surface area to include these flanks, I'm just making it so that my troops win. You know, even though, as we saw before, this is 3,500 and this is 3,500. Like, both sides have the same army size. Marines are just better than Marauders are. So as long as we can negate the terrain advantage that he's getting by forcing us through a small choke, we do fine. And in the real game, it was even worse. You were doing an L command attack. So there was an artifact right here between you and your opponent who had siege tanks. So in order to get to him, you had to squeeze all your guys around the artifact. So if you do a normal, what you did was this move command thing where they squeeze, and look how tightly punched they are when you squeeze them around an artifact like that. It's really silly. So what you wanted to do was, instead of attacking into him like that, what you wanted to do was move up here so that you're no longer attacking around an artifact. You know, move your dudes up here and then attack through the open ground, because there was an open ground that you could have attacked through. It just wasn't the shortest route, and because the shortest route was around an artifact, you took that route and you got all your guys slaughtered. But instead, just move to a different location where you have a more approachable angle on him, and then again stim and A move, and grab troops and move them down so that other troops can fire, and you're okay, you know. Oops, totally didn't work that time, but you get the idea. Certainly works better than if you don't do that. Actually, it did work. So, to reiterate, first message, never put your infantry in front of your tanks unless you're actively attacking. And the second message, when you actively attack, make sure all your guns are firing, and make sure you don't move command any more than about 5 to 10 guys at a time. Okay, so never take 20 guys and move command them. Never take 16 guys and move command them. If you want to move command something, take 5 or 6 guys, peel them off, move command those. And Marine King Prime, the comeback kid. I should have prepared an example, but I'm just going to randomly Google Marine King Pride for one of his engagements, man. Alright, nope, never mind. Marine versus tank. Amazing split. Amazing split. Anyway. I know I've seen a billion zillion examples. I just thought I could find one quickly, and I can't.